with G. Scott.
Seahawks-free weekend. How did you guys spend it? Did you get some stuff done? Did you like it? I didn't. I didn't like that feeling at all. It is the worst when it is a Thursday night loss and then you got to wait all the way until the Seahawks play and travel down to the Falcons. I got to tell you, it was rough holding on to it. And oh, by the way, if you're a UW fan, I'm sure you guys felt like you lost twice, if you will, right? They lost to Iowa, and of course, my Buckeyes lost to the Oregon Ducks. So, look, I don't know about you, but football was kind of done. Let me just tell you something. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I didn't really want to watch any other football. After the Buckeyes lost on Saturday night, which was a great game, I was spent. I was done. Do you ever get that way? So what did you do during this weekend? Put it in the chat. What do you do when the Seahawks are off for the free weekend, especially after a loss that was hurtful? Brother Frank, what's up, man? What did you do with this Seahawks free weekend?
I unfortunately spent it because, we just the Washington region was catching L's left and right this week. I did spy on the Atlanta Falcons because I wanted to see how they were playing, and of course I got really disheartened because they got over 200 rush yards, and we'll talk more about they're facing Carolina. Not like Carolina's defense is much worse compared to us. But yeah, this was very much a honeydew weekend. We were talking about that around the building where it's like be with your significant other, hit the pumpkin patch, do your festivities. This is the perfect weekend to do that.
I'm so sick and tired of this whole pumpkin patch thing. It's all for the gram. Why? And it's interesting. This past weekend, it seems like that's all y'all did. I saw pictures everywhere. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm just kind of hating, to be honest with you. Because back when I was younger, you go to these pumpkin patches and you was dirty. There wasn't really no Instagram or anything like that or taking pictures. Now y'all all in your fall colors and your flannels and all that good stuff, with the coffee mugs in your hand, taking pictures. I know some of y'all swiping right and going to hang out at the pumpkin patches. I love it. So, all right, let's get down to it. As you all know, we will preview the Seahawks against the Atlanta Falcons. We'll do that coming up this Thursday. But right now, here's a way we can talk about some things. What did you get right and what did you get wrong so far during the season? That'll be a fun game for us to play. What did you get right? What did you get wrong? Well, let me go with the Seattle Seahawks so far and what has been right and what has been wrong. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and start off with I have been wrong about the Seahawks and stopping the run. Okay, Frank, that's been my thing, and this is going to be something that I'm going to harp on constantly. And I know they're doing the same thing. As a matter of fact, as you all know, they're heading down to the Atlanta Falcons, and to guess what? Guess what they do real well? Run the ball. So, Frank, I was wrong about the Seahawks stopping the run. So far, what have you been wrong about? Let's stay with the Seahawks before we go across the league. What have you been wrong about with this team?
So here's this really scary stat. I was looking at our 3-game splits when we went 3-0 versus when we went 0-3. When we've gone 0-3, our defense has been giving up 35.7 points a game, and Carolina has been giving up 36. We're the bottom 2 in the league. I never, ever thought that was going to happen this season. Rookie head coach, rookie system, rookie everything. I never thought we'd be within a spitball of Carolina's defense, even for a stretch of time. 3 weeks is a significant amount of time. Now, we've talked about excuses. We've talked about 3 games in 11 days. We talked about Thursday Night Football shortcomings. But, my God, that is something I never saw coming.
And so when you hear Frank say that and you hear me talking about the stress of the run game, stopping the run game of the opposing team, and you hear Frank give that stat in the 0-3 in the games that they've lost, they're giving up 35 points a game, only second to last with the Carolina Panthers. You hear that stat. My question is why is this happening? Now, I don't like making excuses. I think there's 2 things that get blamed oftentimes, and I don't like it. One, the refs. Everybody blames the refs. When things don't go right, you blame the refs, or you might blame the offensive line. In this case, you might blame injury. Now, Frank, I've been thinking about some things. Of course, I had a lot of time to think about this. Let's make no mistake about it. The Seahawks did kind of get hit with the injury bug kind of all at the same time, especially right after the Detroit Lions game. I'm not making an excuse, but you have to call it out. Losing Chenna hasn't been good. Having Boye Mafe, even though he came back, having him out for those games, that has not been good. Losing the rookie, first-round draft pick, Byron Murphy II, has not been good. Lost Leo Williams for one game, and even though he's back, I'm going to keep it a buck. Watch the All-22 on Leo Williams. I saw a lot of standing straight up. I'm not doubting how good he is, because he is. I think and thought watching that he was still a little banged up a little bit. Reek Woolen is out right now. That's an injury bug. I'm sure somebody's going to say G's making excuses. I'm not making excuses, because you still got to win the game. It's still next man up. But Frank, you can't deny that the injury bug has hit the Seahawks.
100%. You are right about that. But let me throw something else at you then that is also surprising, because you and Brandon Meebane talked about this after the game, where why aren't we swarming the ball? We are 14th in the league in assisted tackles, so right around the middle, but we're 6th in solo tackles, because we don't have a great time of possession. We're under 30 minutes this season, so our defense is on the field more than our offense. We're 6th in solo tackles, so we're near a top 5 tackling team because of how often our defenders on the field. But 14th in assisted tackles, that is a scary stat. That's something I never thought I'd see with the Mike McDonald defense.
Right. Well, we all know for these things to kind of clean up, if you will, these are things that we're going to definitely have to see. One of the things I want to do this right here. One Seahawks fix. You can only pick one thing, not, there's all problems and everything. And let's see if we can come up with a consensus thing that you want to see fixed. You see they're 3-3. You saw them win 3 games. You saw them lose 3 games. Matter of fact, 3 games in a row. What is the one fix that you would like to see the Seahawks do going forward? And I'm going to go ahead and start.
Yeah,
right
you
now.
share yours, and then I'll share mine.
Yeah. The one fix that I'm going to get right now is I would like to see Geno Smith pass for less. Right now, he has thrown 149 passes in the last 3 games. That's most out of any quarterbacks right now in the league. It is a franchise record for 3 games passing, 149. I don't think the Seahawks are that great. No, this is not a shot at Geno. I'm just saying the Seahawks become one-dimensional. The Seahawks get to the point where the offense becomes predictable. When you, and I know I'm boring you guys to death with this, when you can't or you don't establish the run, defenses pin their ear back when it comes to the rushers, and it comes to his opportunity for turnover. And I just want to see the Seahawks run the ball, establish a run a lot more. So that's my one fix. Frank, you get one fix. What do you got?
I got 2, and I want you to pick for me, G. We're bottom 5 in these 2 stats. Sacks. We're allowing now almost 4 sacks a game. We're at 3.7 per game. And then penalties, we're 4th worst at 8 a game. You tell me which of those 2 would you just want gone, erased? The sacks or the penalties?
Well,
bottom 5 in both.
I'm going to go the penalties. And the reason why is because I still believe that the Seahawks can win in spite of allowing the sacks. Now, we don't like for the Seahawks franchise quarterback and Geno Smith being sacked that way. We don't like that happening. But at the same time, if I had to say, I'm going to go ahead and go with the penalties, because the penalties is something that I did not know. Great stuff, Frank. I didn't know the Seahawks were the 4th worst when it comes to penalties on defensive side of the ball. So that is a definitely huge one. So put in the chat the one fix. I was going to be the one fix, and I probably should have, but you guys probably predicted it, and I was going to talk about stopping the run, right? One fix, being able to stop the run. And just so we know, these next few games, it might change the conversation. Now, as a matter of fact, something that kind of worries me. I want to ask you this, and this is important. The Seahawks started off the season 3-0. Then they lose 3 in a row. My question to you and for everyone, what is the reason? If you could only pick one reason why that came to be. Now, our own Frank, producer Frank, put a stat up there, as a matter of poll up there. And Frank, tell us the poll that you put up and tell us what everybody picked.
Yeah, I asked you guys, asked the community, what you guys thought was if you had to pick a single reason for the 3-game skid, the options were head coach Mike McDonald, quarterback Geno Smith, Grubb, and then another option I put on there was the Seahawks front office, obviously led by John Schneider, and that was the number one response we got back. So for this 3-game skid, you guys are really putting this on the front office more than anyone else.
But when you guys put it on the front office, what specifically are you saying? What did the front office do for the Seahawks to lose 3 games in a row? I absolutely disagree with that. I actually, look, I think that the front office has done an incredible job, right? Bringing in Rayshon Jenkins, how's he been this season? What Julian Love has turned into for this season. Bringing in Leo Williams. Like, hold on now. I totally disagree with the front office, the Seahawks front office. I think that they've done everything that they've been able to do. Now, if you guys want to talk about, like, what's maybe that one thing that's led to the reason, I hate to do this, and I really am making excuses. I am, but got a little unlucky with the injuries, Frank. I mean, seriously. I mean, and I'm saying that because defensively, the team hasn't looked like it did the first 3. Now, there's also someone that's going to say, but wait a minute, G. I think, or you might think, that the reason why the Seahawks were 3-0 is because they didn't really face a threat at quarterback. And maybe some of you guys are saying, well, I think that this team, the reason why they're lost 3 in a row is because they face 3 decent quarterbacks. Let's just say you're right. And you know what? As a matter of fact, we are about to find out. I mean, when I say find out, you got Kirk Cousins this Sunday. After that, you come home against Josh Allen and the Bills. And then after that, you have Matthew Stafford and the Rams come to town. And then you got a bye. And then after that, you go on the road to the Niners. So all of this conversation, all of the what if and this and that, it's going to come to the point, especially these next 3 games, there is no ducking nothing. We are about to find out. By the time the end of October comes, we will truly know the identity of this team. But one of the things that I'm noticing, and I think that I believe that one of the things that I've kind of been disappointed in, if you will, is there are a lot of people you're reacting, meaning you're saying like, hey, this hire, right? And Mike McDonald, look, I have no problems with the Mike McDonald hire. As a matter of fact, we become a microwave society, right? Where we think that a new era or a new regime is going to come in and it's automatic. I want to remind you, not to say that that's going to happen here, but I just want to remind you, it really took until year 3 for Pete Carroll to really get it rocking. Sure, first year, they made it to the playoffs, 7-9. Fair, right? Next year, they didn't have a winning record, and it wasn't in 2012 that they got moving and grooving. So I just want to say, we will find out. Hopefully, and by the way, nobody's going to care about injuries. Nobody's going to remember that, because the one thing I've learned about the NFL, and really in life, Frank, nobody cares. Literally. Like, nobody cares. At work, when you need to get an assignment done and you need to get something work, your boss don't care. Nobody cares. And that's just life. Nobody cares about excuses. So the Seahawks have to get it done. Let's go around the league, Frank. And I want to go back to what did you get right and what did you get wrong? Let's go on a national level on what did you get right and what did you get wrong. I'll start off what I got wrong. Jaden Daniels being the quarterback that he is for the Commanders. Matter of fact, let me go all the way. I did not see the Commanders doing anything. As a matter of fact, I know I owe an apology. And maybe just because this is his second time as a head coach again. Hey, DQ, Dan Quinn, I'm sorry, man. I did not think that these Commanders would look this way, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, it's Dan Quinn's not a cast-off. He was a sought-after coach, but Cliff Kingsbury, who had a one-way ticket to where'd he go, Thailand, and just decided he was not going to return for an indefinite amount of time. Mm-hmm. Now he's doing really well. Yeah, I didn't have this on my bingo card either. Sorry, Bobby Wagner. We should have assumed that you were going to bring a culture to that team early. Jaden Daniels, we were talking about it off mic. Just not only does he have the mobile component to his game, he's just so accurate as a thrower. He held his own against Lamar. He technically is in the MVP conversation. That's happened once in league history where a rookie won MVP. It was Jim Brown way back before we have modernized the sport. Mm-hmm. And honestly, as we look around, that division's kind of wide open. The Eagles have not looked stellar. They keep squeaking out games, and we'll get to another team in terms of somewhere we were right in that division.
Okay. I'll give you something else that I was wrong about. I'll give you a few things that I was wrong about. I was wrong about the Cleveland Browns continuing to stick and stay with Deshaun Watson. I mean, first of all, I wasn't wrong about that salary that they gave Deshaun Watson. Like, that was ridiculous. I think you and everybody else knows that salary, the guaranteed $248 million, was absolutely ridiculous that they gave Deshaun Watson. I was just wrong about how long the Cleveland Browns are going to stay with him. How long are you going to do this? I mean, if I'm a Cleveland Brown fan, I'm hot. Another thing that I was wrong about.
Oh, before you get to that, yeah. I just want to read something. I got a quote from Stefanski today on why he won't go to Jameis Winston at quarterback. I think Deshaun Watson gives us the best chance to win, continues to give us the best chance to win, and we need to play really good football at his position and at every position to be successful. This team has warped themselves into thinking that this is not a Deshaun Watson problem, even though he's logged one of the 10 worst starts to a season in 100 years of the sport. And I think that's what we were saying is where we were wrong is we thought Cleveland would care about its fans and the product they're putting out there, that, hey, you know what, this Watson thing isn't working and he's going to be just a black hole in our salary. We're going to go put Jameis Winston in because that's important to us to be competitive. Why did you go out and get Jameis Winston to begin with? Like, you clearly spent time and effort to have another option available, and that I'm lost for words.
Another thing I was wrong about. This is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. Was I wrong about the Chicago Bears? Am I wrong? Was I wrong because I didn't think Caleb Williams would come in and be the difference maker that he seems to be? Was I wrong? That I was thinking that there's no way and the Bears would just, I mean, they're not just winning. They're winning, having fun, and they look good doing it.
Talk about another loss for Seattle fans because they put up 35 points, but who's that OC?
Shane Waldron.
They're having a little too much fun with Caleb, I think.
Was I wrong? Was I wrong thinking that Shane Waldron and that offense that he had when he was here, he's going to go out to the Bears? I was wrong so far. Now, will I stay wrong? I don't know. Chicago Bears is going to prove to always be the Chicago Bears. But as of right now, I am wrong about the Chicago Bears. They doing their thing. And I'll tell you the philosophy I think that we're going to start seeing more of. If you're a GM and you draft a quarterback and you see that you're saying, I don't think this is it. I'm going to go ahead and make a move and lick my wounds later. I think we're going to start seeing more of that. I think the Giants should have did that with Daniel Jones. I think sometimes when you think that you have to pay that quarterback. The Bears basically said, by the way, you guys know I'm a Justin Fields fan. And hey, I'm glad Justin Fields is in Pittsburgh because Justin Fields is doing his thing. But I thought that they unfairly got rid of Justin Fields because I didn't think it was all on him. But the GM says, nah, G, we getting rid of Justin Fields. We going to get our quarterback in Caleb Williams. So I was wrong about the Bears. Anything you want to talk about you being wrong about, Frank?
Speaking of the Bears, I didn't have Green Bay being fourth in that division at the start of this year, and you're going, well, Jordan Love was hurt. Well, they got 2 wins out of Malik Willis, and they're still fourth in that division. I thought the division was going to be competitive, but I did not see them being 4-2, fourth in the division. Yes, Green Bay was my Super Bowl pick out of the NFC to start this year, so they're looking like a year or two early from that. And then one thing I wrote down, we talked about Geno Smith passing. I did not have him pegged as the league leader in passing yards. He's on pace for a 5,000-yard passing season this year. I just did not have that.
Man, wait, another thing I was wrong about? I mean, I thought the Detroit Lions were a good team. I thought they had a great season last season, if you will. Did I see the Detroit Lions getting ready to be the team that we are seeing right now? No, I was wrong about it. As a matter of fact, as we all saw, they beat them boys. They beat them Dallas Cowboys, them boys. By the way, hey, how's Jerry Jones and his scouting report doing? By the way, I heard it was Jerry Jones' birthday, and they got smacked. We're going to see, and I'm sure Frank's going to ask me some head coaches who will still be around, and I don't think Mike McCarthy will be around after next season. But check this out, Frank. I was with Panay Sewell's dad. Good brother Gabe and Arlene, his parents, love y'all, great people. I was with Gabe and we were talking about it. And Gabe, I hope I'm allowed to put this information out, but you know, I was like, man, we're talking about the Monday night game, the Seahawks Monday night game, and he was out there for the game with Panay. And then after the game, he said that they kind of sat up and was watching film, right? He said, well, you know, it's an opportunity to sit up and watch film. I said, wait. You watching film of the 18 for 18, Jared Goff, the dominant run game? Your offense was incredible. He said, yeah, man. Hey, that's all Panay wants to do is watch film. He said about 1 a.m. Now, granted, you guys know that was a late Monday night game, so already it's late on that side of things, right? The game doesn't even start until like 8:30 out there, right? So 1 something, 2 a.m, they're watching film. And Gabe said, his dad said, well, man, I finally had to go to bed. He went to bed. When it was time for him to catch an early flight to leave, when he was getting up, Panay was still up watching film on that Monday night game. So what that story means, I know what that's like. I remember conversations with the Mebanes, the Mike Bennett's, the Cliff Aros, the Sherms, the Chancellors. Man, I know that. I've seen that where you're just dedicated. Those dudes, and I think to be great, you really have to be so dedicated, so obsessed. Is there anything in your life? Is there anything that you do that you're obsessed with? And whatever that is, I guarantee you're probably some of the best at what you do. So when it comes to that, I was wrong about the Detroit Lions. I was also right on some few things too. I was right.
Well, before you get to that, I just want to say I wrote down in my column Detroit. I had him right just because the one thing I wrote was Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, and we saw a whole lot of Ben Johnson with his trick plays against Dallas. He didn't leave for a reason. He was the belle of the ball for a coaching candidate. Everyone wanted him, and he decided to stay one more year. And he did that for a reason because he's like, I believe that this team can win, and this team could win this year. Through week 6, they sure as hell look like they can.
I'm not answering this. I'm just going to ask it, and I'm just going to throw it out there. And I'm going to let you go to the barbershops, go to your workplace, and you guys decide on this. Did we go too crazy about the Ryan Grubb offense? Did we come in here and are we putting too much or too high of an expectation on a Ryan Grubb offense? Is there anything that you want to see better with this offense? That's going to be a question that we're for sure about to find out over the next 3 games. How about this one, Frank? Here's one. Let's have fun. I know you got a list of it. Let's talk about what coach we think is going to stay or nay by the end of the season. Stay or nay?
You talked about it a little bit. Let's just get to him. Mike McCarthy. Is he there 2025?
Hell no. Nay.
And then if you say nay, when should he have been removed?
Okay, I'm glad you asked me that. I never thought Mike McCarthy was the guy for the Cowboys. First of all, it's hard for anybody to come in and be there. You all know Jerry Jones is flat out in the way. Look, I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm not.
Oh, you're not?
I don't think many people are. But I will say where my heart goes out to fans is that you literally have Jerry Jones in a way. He is a massive problem for that organization. For all the great and the good and all the fancy stuff as far as winning, as far as being America's team, as far as what the Cowboy fan base expects, they expect to get back to them 90s, right? To the Jimmy Johnson type Cowboys, and they're nowhere close to that. So I think Mike McCarthy at the end of the season, he gone, Irene. Give me another coach.
Does Kevin Stefanski of the Cleveland Browns survive?
Nope.
2-time Coach of the Year winner.
Hey, sometimes them Coach of the Year awards sometimes is a stain. Sometimes it works against you. No, I don't think so. Oftentimes coaches and or GMs, sometimes you're married. This is why it is so hard to pick a quarterback, right? When you go all in the way the Cleveland Browns went all in on Deshaun Watson, and no, by the way, have you noticed? I don't have the stats in front of me, but no other franchise has had as many starting quarterbacks as the Cleveland Browns over the last 30 years. That's because it was always getting, the first top picks and always picking quarterbacks. But for some reason, it is cursed, man. The quarterback position and what happens is it does not happen great. Ask Baker Mayfield. Now, there's another one. I don't think Stefanski. I definitely don't think he makes it.
All right, let me give you another one. Sean McDermott with the Bills.
Yes, he stays.
What if they miss the playoffs?
I think he still stays.
Okay.
I think there's some good stuff going on in Buffalo, which is why I believe coming up here soon at Lumen Field, I'm glad that game's being played at home. The Bills coming to town. I like Sean McDermott. I like the Buffalo Bills. I think that they are a solid organization. It seemed to be their fan base, and man, it seemed to be incredible. I've had some buddies that go out there in Buffalo. They say it's cold as hell, but it's cold. But boy, they say them fans is real serious about them Bills. Who else you got?
How about someone we faced recently, Brian Daboll, with the New York Giants?
Nah. Again, nope. I don't think he's there. Why? Married to the quarterback. I think that Daniel Jones. Sometimes these coaches, they just live by the quarterback. Which I got another coach for you. Mm-hmm. Not to say that this coach is on the hot seat, but there's just some coaches like my man down at the Miami Dolphins head coach,
Mike McDaniel.
Look, I have loved Tua, great player, but I've always thought like, man, they married to Tua. And so sometimes, like when you do that, we as fans are like, you're judged by what happens with these quarterbacks. So no, I don't think he stays as well.
All right, talk about a coach married to a quarterback in a weird relationship. I don't know your thoughts on this guy because we talk about the Cowboys mainly when it comes to NFC East. Nick Sirianni, Eagles.
I can't put my finger on what's happening with the Eagles. Let's go back to last season when they were 10-1. Mm-hmm. Do you remember when they were 10-1? I would see Eagles fans going crazy. Now, I always heard that Philadelphia, they don't play no games. I've always heard that fan base is tough. But even last year, Frank, they were 10-1, and it seemed like they were 500, 5-5. What is it about the Eagles? Now, the one thing we can clearly say, we know it now. Did we know how important Jason Kelce was? And I think we Seahawk fans, we know that because we remember Max Unger and what he brought to the center position. So if there's any, I know that left tackles get paid the majority of the money on the offensive line. There's an argument to be made about the center being probably the most important position on that O-line. And we are seeing right now, man, it just seems like the Eagles, they don't have their identity anymore. I love Jalen Hurts, but I don't think anybody is thinking that the Eagles are going to be the NFC threat that we once thought they were last season when they were 10-1, Frank.
Did Nick Sirianni's haircut pass the respect the fit though?
Yeah, he's cool. Yeah. I definitely like that.
Yeah, it's a mess out there. The quarterback and the coach isn't getting along. The front office brought in Kellen Moore from Dallas, and he runs the offense now. But like he has more power than Sirianni, but then Sirianni will make snide comments about Kellen Moore. It's a whole mess. Clearly, we learned Jason Kelce was another coach, spotting things both pre-snap, post-snap. In between snaps, he was identifying so many things for Hurts, for Sirianni. They don't have that anymore. It's truly a big miss there.
Were you guys wrong? Were you guys wrong about Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield? I'll raise my hand. I was wrong. Frank seems to think that you were right on Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay. What you got?
I mean, the only thing that I won't give myself full credit is a guy named Dave Canales, who obviously we know was a Geno's quarterback coach in 2022, left, and I thought, okay, that gives them an opportunity to regress. I don't know, that division's wide open, and Baker's playing amazing football. I have some attachments to him fantasy-wise. I love Baker, and I'm just really happy. I thought, because they were succeeding last year with no run game, with a bad year from Chris Godwin. Now we're seeing the opposite, where they can run the ball. We saw that against the Saints. Chris Godwin's having a career year. I mean, so there were opportunities for that team to get better that we kind of just overlooked because everyone was focusing on Atlanta in the offseason, who we play next week.
Well, here's the biggest thing that I could be wrong about. Now, I've had some of you guys have messaged me. Some of you guys are telling me, G, you're too much of a homer. G, you're too much of a Seahawk fan. You don't want to say anything against the organization or anything like that. Well, I'll agree. I am a homer. I'm not going to look, no doubt about it, because there are some things that have happened this season. If I were on the outside, I'd be going off about some things. So I'll agree with that. However, I'm also right now backed into a corner, Frank. And what corner am I talking about? I'm in a corner to where there is no way over the next 3 games that I can lie. I am backed in a corner. There's no way. Falcons, Bills, Rams. Ain't no doubt about it. We're going to find out. We will know if the Seahawks are a real contender, and I mean, I'm talking about playoff contender. So what I could possibly be wrong about is I still believe that the Seahawks are a huge playoff contender and I still believe that they can win this NFC division, this West division. Now, could I be proven wrong? Yes. I don't think so. But if I am proven wrong, Frank, it's going to be some hard times. It's going to be hard to look into a camera and admit. You ever be in those situations where you have to admit with your significant other that you was wrong? Man, that's some of the hardest things to do in the world. When you got to be like, baby, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was wrong. And I don't want to do that. So I'm keeping my spirits, my expectations up. I expect for the Seahawks to go to Atlanta and win that game. I am not conceding to that. And then I expect for them to come home against the Bills at home. You guys home Lumen Field, in front of the best fans at the best stadium in the league, best fans in the league, I expect for the Seahawks to beat the Bills. Does that make me a homer? If so, then I'm a damn homer. But I'm sorry. There's no way that right now I expect anything less, Frank.
I feel though you're an honest homer, so much so I do want to put this question on you. You defended the front office for the 3-game skid. That's not the right answer. Who would you put the blame on for the 3-game skid if you could put it on a unit or a person? I know a lot of people were commenting it's a team loss, and I love that from our audience because you're right. It's a team sport. It's a team loss.
Trenches.
Pick one, though.
Trenches. I can't.
Okay.
Look. I'm going to blame being 0-3 the last 3 games on the trenches. And I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Football starts up front. Trenches against the Giants. I saw the Seahawks O-line. They got beat up by the Giants. You saw it. I saw it. I also saw the Seahawks D-line. They didn't get the Giants ran for 175 yards. So you saw it. Against the Lions. Who would you blame there? The trenches? Because that offense did whatever they wanted to, so much so that Jared Goff went 18 for 18. And then against the Niners. Same thing. Trenches. How many yards did the Niners rush for in Lumen Field on Thursday Night Football? 229 yards. So the trenches. In order for and by the way, the NFL is a copycat league. You guys don't think the Atlanta Falcons are going to try to run the ball down the throats of the Seahawks? Yes, they are. As a matter of fact, I think that they are licking their chops because the Seahawks have to prove otherwise. And when the Seahawks do stop the run, they win the game. So there's that. All right, it's time to get to the X's and O's. Hey, don't be afraid to make them fill out an application. You ever notice you go get a job, you got to fill out an application. You go to lease an apartment, you got to fill out an application. You want to go get a loan, you got to fill out an application. How come when we have new friends or new significant others in our lives, we don't have them fill out an application? Why are we so given the benefit of the doubt when a lot of the serious things that happen in our lives happens when we become vulnerable with someone else who is a complete stranger? You know, it seems that some of us out here get to the point where we say, well, that person looks good, or they're really physically attractive, so we just think, oh, I want to be around that, and let me bring them into our lives without having them fill out an application. Don't fall for it. You better start making them be accountable, making them seeing what do they bring to the table. There's a lot of people out here that's sitting there underemployed and expecting, ooh, I need somebody with a better job. I need somebody with all these things. No. What do you have? Fellas, ladies, start making them fill out an application. Hey, appreciate you rocking with me. Love you for that. And as always, be kind.